Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you on the screen. First of all, I would like to thank Dr. Curtis Ramper for the invitation. I attended the Canola Week 2019 in Saskatoon. I enjoyed the meeting very much. Today, the title of my presentation is Plant Starch and Protein for Bioplastic. In this presentation, I will talk about the starch, talk about the protein, and also what is the bioplastic, and also how we develop a starch-based bioplastic, how we develop a protein-based bioplastic. And I will finish by some acknowledgement. So what is starch? Starch is the major carbohydrate, and it exists in the granule form as here. And also it composed two major components in the starch, amylose and amylopectin. And these two molecules are different in terms of the linkage. One is the linear with the alpha-1,4 linkage. One is the branch, the amylopectin, is linked by alpha-1,4 and also alpha-1,6 linkage. So these different linkage and make the starch the different have the different structure, different crystalline structure, and also different granule structure. In terms of the crystalline structure, and those amylopectin molecule contributed to those semi-crystalline structure. And as you see, that this model is called a branch model, and which can tell the starch and look like all the branch, the tree branch, and composed of those crystalline region. And those crystalline region, those branch formed those double helix, which contributed to those crystalline structure. And in those branch point area is called amorphous. And most amylose also located in this amorphous region. So there are so many starch, and we know starch different from the one to the another, from one sources to the another sources. And here is just some granule morphology of those different starch from the corn. And we compared this same corn but different from the normal corn, from the waxy corn, and the high amylose corn. And those granule packing form are different, as you can see that this same corn, but a different variety. And also different from wheat, from rice and potato. And you can see the potato granule have larger size. And also for the wheat, they have they have two major category, large and small. But this is the nature of the use of a plant starch, and so that the variation of the starch and make those different form and the different starch structure in terms of the molecular structure and the crystalline structure. Because they have the different molecular structure and the molecular crystalline structure, and so therefore those starch demonstrated a different function property, such as the thermal property and rheology property and other property. So this is the rapid viscosity profile of the starch from the different sources. And this is the green one is the potato, and this blue one is the waxy, and this pink one is the high amylose cornstarch. You see the viscosity is totally different among these different starch, because they have the different granule structure, they have different crystalline structure which contain the different crystallinity. They also have the different molecular weight and the weight distribution. Of course, those different branch chain lengths and the chain length distribution also different. Therefore, once they apply the shear and the heat and the interaction between the starch and the water are different. So therefore, those viscosity are different. Of course, there's other property also different and even mostly interesting those digestibility. So some easily digestible, some quickly digestible. So therefore, they have the different application and in the industry and we know starch mainly used for the food and but also a lot of industrial application we know and included by plastic, included adhesive, paper, and textile, pharmaceutical, oil drawing, and detergent, and agrochemical, and cosmetics, and the medical, etc. There's so many applications for the starch because first it's a kind of renewable sources and inexpensive, and also there's have a unique property and that other material don't have. So for the protein, it also is a biopolymer and it's contained more or one or more long chains of amino acid residues. In terms of the structure, there's a way complicated than starch, and starch also in terms of the crystalline structure, and they're quite complicated. But for the protein side, and we know they even had a primary structure, secondary structure, tertiary structure, and quaternary structure. So all of these structure represented as protein from the different sources, and they have the different molecular structure, and of course they contribute to those different crystalline structure, and also the kind the 2-dimension or 3-dimension, and even right now a lot of the computer modeling and which can demonstrate the protein from all the different sources, and so therefore to understand their function property. Because such a difference, and definitely protein functionality also very different from the starch side, and here I just list some pretty unique functionality for the protein, like solubility and the viscosity and emulsifying and the forming, and the protein can form, make foam, and that's why a lot of foam product can be used as protein and as the material. And also the water fat holding capacity is different because of those chemical molecular effect, and also the duration different because of those molecular structure. So those different functionality of the protein and make a protein had a different various application in the food, in the industrial, and also peptides. And the food, we all know the protein is the major nutritional component in our human body, and a lot of infant food and even pet food, and they use a lot of the protein. And that's why now the very popular in the pulse protein and in the West Canada, and the business is very hot, and a lot of product, and we can purchase from the grocery store and to our nutrition. And so also those different protein also can apply to the lot of the industry, such as the packaging and edible film, and which we can directly eat. The nanocomposite adhesive, the coating, and the personal care, and all use those special functionality. and also because of their special molecule and their structure. Of course, plastic also can be used as one example. And there are also a lot of the peptides and which can be used antimicrobial, antioxidant, um, anti whatever, anti cancer. So those kind of the application because of the protein, the nature of the protein chemistry and the structure. So what is the bioplastic? So any plastic which come from the bio-based or biomass-based or renewable sources is called bioplastic. Or any bio-based plastic, because some bioplastic um, is fully biodegradable, but some is not. So any bio-based plastic or product fully biodegradable, also called bioplastic. Any petrol or fossil-based bioplastic or plastic or product which with fully biodegradation is also called bioplastic. So that is also kind of definitions of what is kind of bioplastic. So bio-based plastic, there are so many um, kind the sources and from the starch and from the vegetable oil, castor oil, and soybean oil, and also from the protein. And we can see even just from the starch, we can have so many bio-based uh, plastic, and some is we call the thermoplastic starch, some polyethylene. But this polyethylene, if we can't um, fully biodegradable, it can be called bioplastic, and also can after the fermentation and have the different the chemical of um, produced, and so then uh, by the polymerization and get those polyester or polyamide no polyurethane or have get some PHA, and those polymer if fully biodegradable, it's called bioplastic. If not, it's not called. It's just called bio-based plastic. And also here we can get a bio-based plastic and use the different plasticization and um, to get the thermoplastic protein and also get a lot of different bio-based plastic from oil. So there are so many bioplastic, and definitely why we interested this project, interested this area, and the motivation is different, and as everybody know, and recent years, and there are so many voices and on the environment white pollution by those no biodegradable, petrol-based plastic, and caused serious problem of the landfill, and we don't have much land because it's not no biodegradable, and also uh, a lot of the carbon dioxide emission and caused by those no biodegradable petrol-based plastic. So government of Canada and a lot of government already set up the goal and for the zero plastic waste. And in the Canada Action Plan by 2030, and we hope we can achieve that goal. So there's a lot of requirement and a lot of challenge and to meet that goal. So there need a lot of people and research scientists, industry, and investment and tech action to meet that goal, and in order to protect our environment and so therefore looking for the solution, looking for the alternative for those no biodegradable petrol-based. So therefore the bioplastic is the kind alternative one for those solution. There's another bigger problem with the food loss. We have a lot of food loss and food waste. And there are so many factors contributed to the food loss and the waste. But the main one major fact is because of the improper packaging. A lot of packaging material don't have such a kind of antimicrobial property, and which uh, make those food spoil and quickly and and keep the shelf life shorter. So therefore, um, we need to create create and produce such a smart packaging material and to reduce the food loss and waste. Also, there's another because the interest of there are so many molecular diversity as you see the starch, so many starch, so many different starch, so many different starch structure, molecular structure, crystalline structure, so many different protein structure and molecular structure and crystalline structure. So therefore, those kind of molecular diversity of the agriculture by polymer, and also we think that there has much many area, many room to explore. So also definitely to um, achieve such a kind of goal and need a lot of multidisciplinary approach and with a lot of new tools, innovation, and idea. So that's why and motivate our work. However, the bioplastic have a lot of weakness and such as the poor processability and narrow processing window and the poor mechanical property and the poor water resistance is because of the nature of they are polymer, biopolymer, and also poor antimicrobial activity and the other weakness. But the weakness and also bring a lot of opportunity and strength. And we see that a lot of strength in this area because it's a sustainable agricultural resource because the starch protein come from agricultural sources and we have the sustainable the agricultural resource. And also we have a lot of byproduct which come from the post protein and extraction and which make a lot of the post starch and become the byproduct and inexpensive and need to find a way to use and to apply those um, the post starch. We also have a lot of the canola meal, and the canola meal is after canola oil extraction. So the canola meal contains a lot of canola protein, and those canola protein can be uh, extracted and from those low cost canola meal, and so therefore we can find the application for those canola meal. So that is also good opportunity and strength, and also for the starch and the protein, definitely they can use different way to modify to achieve the function property and use physical, use chemical, or use biochemical enzyme and to modify the molecule structure and the crystalline structure, and so therefore to achieve the certain function property. Also make a polymer materials can easily can be economically shaped. We can use different the mold and to make those kind of product. And also good compatibility with the broad range of the hydrophilic and hydrophobic material such as fiber, amino, oil. And we understand those problem issue, but we also know we have a lot of way to improve and to overcome those barriers. So that let's see how we make those starch-based bioplastic. And we use the potato, pea, lentil, bean, high amylose corn, and the normal corn starch. And we also use the potato flour and Caesar fiber and use ninoclear and use the PLA and use the Jocry and Chen chain extended with high epoxy functionality for branch control and compatibilization. And we also select the headache as a coupling agent. We use grocery triethyl citrate and water as a plasticizer. So we developed those by potato-based bioplastic film after the extrusion, and we look at the effect of those different starch on those bioplastic. And in this slide is the mechanical property on the tensile property, and look at the result, and we find the P starch and show the highest mechanical property and compare the other starch. This is good news for the P starch. We have a lot of P starch and waiting for use, and compared to the other starch, and definitely P starch had such a high mechanical property and also easy to processing them those potato starch. And of course, I mentioned there are some weak the mechanical property and also weak water resistance, and so we need to find a way. And one way is we use the Jokeray as an additive in those blend, the blend with the polylactic acid, PLA, and we find that the effect of the Jokeray also have the certain amount. We can't add too much, and but the 1% can result in the high mechanical property. So this is the same, and when we blended the thermoplastic starch with the PLA and added this Jokeray, and with the different amount of the thermoplastic starch, and we find all the blend with the Jokeray and the increased mechanical property. Although and when the thermoplastic starch content increased, the mechanical property decrease, but this is the nature. Also, this Jokeray also can improve this water resistance. As I mentioned, we have poor water resistance for those bioplastic. When you added those Jokeray, and you can see if you added more Jokeray in those blend, the water contact angle increase. Water contact angle increase indicate water resistance increased. So I quickly summarize what we did for the starch-based bioplastic, and the addition of the Jokeray in the thermoplastic potato starch and the PLA blend system caused the increased intense mechanical property of the bioplastic. Also, we developed those thermoplastic potato starch with different fiber and also different the PLA and the potato starch can be a good sources for enhanced mechanical property of the thermoplastic starch product. However, they have the issue of the processing with high viscosity. And also, thermoplastic pulse starch showed a better mechanical property than the other starch. This is good news for the pulse starch. So definitely, those bioplastic can be obtained by changing different plasticizer, and we developed the used grocery and triethyl citrate without water, and then it improve the mechanical property, also water resistance. So we switched gear to the protein-based bioplastic. And the last time, and I demonstrated the canola protein-based bioplastic, and as this time, and I want to show you and how we use the protein, potato protein, and develop the potato protein-based bioplastic. And we first of all we use the different plasticizer, grocery, and Sotobrito and the PG400, and to effect the plasticization effect. We also look at those plasticizer on the compression model and the extrusion processing, and how affected those processing condition. And we look at it even when we isolated the potato protein and use different alkali, and how they affected those protein-based bioplastic. And also when we got the potato protein, how were affected by those different additives when we mixed. So we find that they all have the different factor influence those mechanical property and also performance. And we got the potato protein based bioplastic with high mechanical property. This mechanical property is close to the current commercial plastic product. So it's a very good potential for the application in the industrial product. So for the canola canola meal, canola protein, and we made those the work and how we can make those antimicrobial protein-based bioplastic film for the food packaging use. That is main purpose of our research, and we made it, and we added those antimicrobial agent and in those protein bioplastic film and change the amount and then change the different water holding capacity and also change the antimicrobial property. So those antimicrobial bioplastic film definitely can extend the shelf life of the food and to reduce the environment wide pollution by the no biodegradable petrol-based plastic. So summary, and by immobilize different antimicrobial agent and the water resistance and adjustable protein-based bioplastic can be obtained. So the antimicrobial property extended the shelf life of the food, and it's by the surface contact curing mechanism. And this novel film and has a potential application in food packaging and the medical field. And it is a very viable solution to combat the plastic waste and the food waste problem and to help reduce the environmental impact of the petrol-based plastic. So I would like to acknowledge of my previous student and postdoc and my collaborator and from the university, and also funding agency from the ABIP by Potato Network and also Canola Council of Canada and for this work. And as you see, we have the state-of-the-art bioplastic lab at AFC. We can do various research and in this bioplastic work and area. So I hope we can collaborate with you in the future, and if you need us to do some collaborative research work. And finally, and I thank you for your attention, and hope everyone keep safe and stay healthy. If you have more questions and discussion and need collaboration, email me. And thank you very much.